Tacoma lift kit do's and don'ts. I found an article by Big Chief Tire that sums it up briefly pretty well, I think. Let's talk about it. Well, good afternoon everybody, and welcome back to RobMotive. So these are a few do's and don'ts regarding lifting your Toyota Tacoma. You know, I thought I'd do a little research because frankly I'm considering something else on my Tacoma. That's a whole different video. But I did a little search on the web for things, and I came across an article by a company called Big Chief Tire. They apparently do lifts as well as sell tires, I suppose. So I thought it was interesting enough that I would give it to you guys, let you know what they had to say, taking it from someone else other than just me. So let's take a look. They start off by saying lift kits make it easy to amp up your vehicle. Well, that's a fact. As far as raising it, I mean, you are gonna raise it up, right? It says they'll raise the truck high off the road or for off-road, fueling you with power and a great view over shorter cars. I gotta say, that's one of the things I like most about lifts, I suppose, other than the appearance, that's number one, is that I sit up higher and I can see around all those little Hondas and Priuses and things out there. I really like that. It says most of these kits will raise a truck or SUV, you can raise an SUV, by 1 to 3 inches using spacers between the vehicle's body and frame. Now, a spacer is the cheapest lift you can get. I would probably go with more of a suspension lift if you can. Obviously, it's better than nothing to go with a block and spacer, but a suspension lift's going to give you the best ride. And this article does go on to say another option is suspension lift kits that will let you raise the truck as high as you want. Now, as far as the do's and the don'ts, go to a professional installer. Says here one of the most important things to remember about a lift kit is that it fundamentally changes how a vehicle handles. And boy, that is true. I found that out myself when I did my first block and spacer lift a long time ago. Probably a combination of the lift and the bigger, heavier, beefier tires, to be honest. But it made it a lot stiffer. Of course, the tires made it a lot louder. That really doesn't bother me, but you do notice it. And then I also had a rubbing problem, and I think that's one of the biggest reasons that you need to go to a professional installer that is reputable. They should know what you can do with your truck to not have any rubbing, any hitting issues. That's very important, I think. They say that the changes, the lift in other words, puts unusual stresses on the vehicle as opposed to the vehicle's original design. And man, is that true. I had a CV axle boot blow on me on one of my trucks, and it's because the angle was so far up, if you will, or so far off that it put too much strain on that boot. It blew, and all that grease and stuff inside that boot, you know, what lubricates it, it's kind of important, was all over the bottom of my truck, all over my skid plate, everywhere. It was horrible. Lesson learned, right? It says here that note that an improperly installed lift kit can damage the suspension, the frame, or the body. Obviously, if it's not done right and you're hitting things, you can tear up the fenders, you can mess up the other suspension parts as I did. All kinds of things can go wrong. It says that's why you need someone with the knowledge to do it with your vehicle's exact specifications in mind to avoid needless damage down the road. That's for sure. Next up, it says choose the right height. Lift kits are good for off-roading because they offer more clearance for the tires, which is handy for bumpy terrain. Obviously, the bigger the tires, the better, and the more sidewall, the better. That's really the important part. You know, if you have a little skinny sidewall, well, number one, you shouldn't be taking it off-road at all, but everything that you run over is going to transmit through the wheel into the cab, the steering wheel, the seats. You're going to feel it all, and it's going to be uncomfortable. How do I know? I did it. I went from a thickness of about this much to about this much there on my current truck, and man, do you notice a heck of a difference. Goes on to say there are several heights to choose from, ranging between 1.5 to 6 inches. Obviously, the higher you go, the more expensive it's going to be because there's more parts and there's more work. I mean, you have to change a lot of other suspension pieces and parts if you go above about 3.5 inches on the Tacoma. I would say about 3 inches. It says, choose the best lift kit for your needs. This is important, and this is what I have done so far on my Toyota Tacoma. It says if you will only take the vehicle off-road once in a while, a 1.5 inch lift kit may be all you need. That's true, just to get you up a little bit, so you can clear more stuff. If the truck will be used for off-road excursions all the time, then you may want that 6-inch suspension lift. And boy, does that look good on the Tacoma. I gotta say, I love nice tall lifts. I don't like the changes that come with them, which again, the steering, the handling, the comfort, all that is gonna change when you go with any lift, really. Next up, and this is important as well, keep the day-to-day use in mind. Is the truck, the Tacoma that you're lifting, your daily driver? Remember to think about how it will feel to use that lifted truck. If it's a vehicle that you're going to be driving to work every day, you might not even like crawling in and out of it, because let's face it, it's going to be higher. Unless you're vertically gifted, let's say 6'8", it's going to be a higher step to get in and out of that truck, and you might have to do the old scoot to get out. That's where you kind of scoot over the edge of the seat. It's going to put more wear on that seat, particularly if you have leather seats. I had that issue in my last Toyota Tacoma where I actually damaged the seat. I still haven't gotten over that. I'm not even going to go into it. How about how will it handle? You know, if you're going to be driving it every day and you're going to be in all kinds of traffic, how's it going to handle? You need to take these things into consideration before you go ahead and jump into some bigger lift that maybe isn't going to be right for you. Now, I say I've got the lift that I wanted on this truck. I actually, and I've said this before in videos, I'm not going to get into great detail, but I did an adjustable shock in the front just to raise the front up to level the truck. That enabled me to put a little bit bigger tires on, which is perfectly fine. These are what I wanted, and maintain the stock feel and the stock handling. That was very important to me, because after having a couple of Tacomas that didn't maintain those features, it was very important to me that it did. This 1.5 or so, it's 1 point some odd inches, 1.1 inches I think, without the tires. And keep that in mind. Going with bigger tires, gonna raise the truck even higher. So if you're having problems getting in and out of it at stock height, you're gonna have even more problems as you put those bigger tires in that lift on it as well. Anyway, I just wanted to get on, kind of run through that article a little bit. And by the way, if you have a Big Chief tire in your area, you might want to check them out. Sounds like they know what they're doing. I don't have one in my area. Leave a comment, let me know. Have you considered these things, or did you consider these things before you did your lift? Or does it matter at all to you and you don't care? You just wanted that higher truck so you could go rip around off-road. Doesn't matter how it feels. I'd be curious to know. Also, real quick, I do have 2 additional channels. RobMotive MT, all about mini trucks. Currently, my 2022 Hyundai Santa Cruz, an awesome truck. And a RobMotive JT, all about Jeep Gladiators. Check them out, and if you're interested, please consider subscribing. Thanks for watching. Stay knowledgeable out there. Bye.